I handle all the J Prince digital media. We've been on this book tour about 2 months. Never seen nothing like vibes in the studio. This is the first event that like he talked this much, he was this intimate. This is dope, man. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, bro.
Thank you, bro. We're about to get started shortly. If you don't have headphones, please grab some now. The space is limited in the studio, so I want you to still be able to hear. If you're not inside the studio, grab some headphones right now. Appreciate everybody coming out. My name is Jay Neely. Hey, this is Vibes in the Studio Part 1. I threw the idea in the universe a couple weeks ago. Say it ain't Tone. Prevail set up some amazing shit, man. We got, you know, J Prince in the studio with us right now. Make sure y'all get the book, man. The Art and Science of Respect, man. This is amazing for the city of Detroit. We appreciate you coming out. And without further ado, we're gonna get started with.
Drake was discovered by my son, Jazz Prince. You know, I tell everybody when he first, well, my son was out on tour with Lil Wayne, and I explained to him, I say, hey, man, I don't want you hanging out there with Lil Wayne them like no flunky or none of that business to come back home with no money in your pocket. I say, so you go to Lil Wayne, let Lil Wayne know that you want to start your record label and he could be your partner. So, you know, he was somewhat kind of reluctant because he, you know, kind of felt like that may have been something Lil Wayne wouldn't embrace. But I say, deliver this message to him. And after he did, he called me back excited saying, Daddy, Wayne said he down. He wanna, I'm already knowing Wayne down, right? I just have to give him the message and let him know, you know, go and exercise what I'm telling you to do. So at that point, you know, I asked him, I said, hey man, so who your artist? Who your first artist that you gonna run through this situation? But first I told him, hey, Wayne to send his people down and let's get the business side of things straight. You know what I mean? How we gonna bust this money down? You know what I mean? Which was a 50-50, you know. And I say, now who you want to sign? And that's when he told me Drake. I say, Drake. I say, you got any music on it? He said, yeah. I say, let me hear what you got. So he put this song on. I forgot what song it was, but I listened to the song, and I'm like, man, I don't really like this shit. Like this dude is like singing and different things. I wasn't used to hearing no bunch of singing and shit. You know, I'm from the gangster era of music, so I tried to discourage him. I say, hey, man, you know, you got to get something that's gonna work, Jazz. I mean, this ain't. He said, Daddy, trust me on this one. He said, this the new sound. So I'm listening to him, I'm like, this the new sound. I'm thinking at that point, well, goddamn, my ears must have went out of order if this the new sound. But then he dropped something on me that I had been teaching him since he was like a kid in Rap Alot Records. You know what I mean? It's important, you know, for all of you that have kids. It's important to teach them along the journey of what's going on, you know, with your career. So I had them around the studio, and he would hear me stress the importance of a buzz, you know, in marketing meetings all the time. So he used that very word that I had been teaching him all his life. He says buzzing. So bam, my ears stuck up like a German Shepherd, you know what I mean? So I'm like, whoa. So I said, where's buzzing? He said, Canada. My ears went back down. At that point, I had some homies in Canada, so I reached out and made a call in Canada, and they confirmed. They said, no, that's real. So at that point, I went full-fledged, got behind him. I said, let's fly the homie in. You know what I mean? We flew him in, and that's when Drake had an opportunity to observe the very thing that he speaking on. So that's
You're big on respect. You're big on all these things. And in the industry dominated by people with no integrity or not doing the things that they're supposed to do. I'm big on integrity. What advice would you give to someone like me that's big on integrity going into an entertainment business full of snakes?
Yeah, well, you said a key word. You're going into a business full of snakes. You know, the music industry is a cutthroat business. So, you know, when you on that playing field where you know you're dealing with snakes and cutthroats, then you have to make adjustments to deal with them. You know what I mean? If you don't wanna, you know, be faced with those situations, I advise anybody, it's not a business you wanna go in, you know what I mean? But once you make your mind up to go there, you have to go there with a plan. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to execute that plan around some of the most cutthroat individuals in the world. You know what I mean? But it all depends on your passion and your love for what you're trying to get. You know what I mean? And it can be done. You know, I've done it, and many others have done it, and you just have to make your mind up to do it. Now, when I say that, it don't mean you have to settle for all the disrespect and all the things that go along with it. You know what I mean? I think that's a part of when they say you be in the world but not of the world. Right. So, other words, I'm not saying go in that game and become a punk and let anything go with you. Go in that game and stand up. You know what I mean? When you have to take a leak, when you piss. Right. You know what I mean? Because you got some squatters. You know what I mean? Some people like to squat when they, you know what I mean? Stand up and be a man and let one know. You know what I mean? It's my space right here. I'm gonna be a man in this space, and you know, keep it like that. But that don't mean you ain't gonna deal with cutthroat individuals. Right. That's a part of the chess game, part of the music industry.
Appreciate it.
Love successful hustler in the street. You know what I mean? I was real successful. I became a millionaire there to only find out that wasn't the big picture thing. You know what I mean? And the things I was doing was against the universal laws of God. So, you know, it wasn't no peace there. You know what I mean? And then I understood that, okay, this is a short-term situation right here. You know, I got looked at my kids. I thought about, you know, breaking the poverty curse for my family. I'm like, you know what? I got to change some shit around, because if I try to make this out of a career, then, you know, it's going to be some problems. But my whole journey, you know, I've always been a praying man with everything I ever wanted to accomplish in life. You know, I believe in the power of prayer, you know. And for those that don't exercise prayer, you cheating yourself. It's free, you know what I mean? So make sure you exercise that, because it's real. And so what I done was I asked God, I say, before you take my life or take my freedom, give me a sign. And there were some things that led me up into going into that closet. I went into that closet with one of my infant sons in my hand, and at that point I knew I had got this sign that I had been praying for. So now it's like time to shit get off the pot, really. And I decided, I said, you know what, let me have a talk with God first, you know, because I've been listening to these ministers tell me I can talk to God like I talk to anybody. I said, I'm going to exercise this conversation. And I went in that closet. I'm like, Lord, look, I need to have this money. I'm used to having this money, and I want to continue to have this money. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to walk away from this game, but I'm going to walk away from this game trusting that you're going to bless me with the desires of my heart, because you say you'll bless a man with the desires of his heart. I say, and I want to be a millionaire. So, you know, I exercised that I believed in, and I walked out of that closet with an oath and with an agreement that I would never contribute to those parts of the game no more in life. And I honor my word, you know what I mean? I never turned back, I never went back, and it wasn't easy because I was tested, like, you know, going into the music game, my first 7 years, you know, I ain't seen no daylight. I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? So the temptation, the different things was there, you know, calling my name, because, you know, I was a man that could have made a move, you know, to make up for all the lost time. At least in my mind, I felt that way. Not knowing that it was this is how strong this is. 2 weeks after I made that decision, a portrait was shown to me from the sky where I was under surveillance. You know what I mean? And if I would have done anything extra after that, then I wouldn't be sitting here with y'all today. They gave me about 5 or 6 life sentences. So that's how real, you know, that conviction was that, okay, this is your sign, this is your warning. And I believe we all get warnings and signs. You know, there's always an exit to every situation. It's just a matter of us embracing that exit tonight, you know what I mean? And as I talked on the radio today, I was speaking about signs. You know, we all get signs, and it's important to read a sign. It's important to have the discernment and intuition to know when, shit, this is a strong warning right here. And then also to have the energy, the strength to go a separate way. So that's, in a nutshell, that's that closet situation, which led to something else. Then I have a chance to talk about that as well.
I don't particularly have a question, but it's a comment. I had bought the book. I pre-ordered the book.
Yeah.
And so I put on my Instagram the key things that I took away. Revelation 12:11.
Yeah.
They was conquered, he overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of the testimony.
Yeah.
So in order to be delivered, Christ was the deliverer through the blood, and to overcome through the testimony with what you shared with the word. So
Right.
I kind of appreciate that part. Faith, sacrifice is what I got. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. It's what I took away. Keeping your eyes on opportunity. Recognizing the signs is what I got out of it. What else I got from it? Respect, of course. Vision. You had to have vision. And the race was not given to the swift nor the strong, but for those that endure to the end, and guaranteed success if you don't give up.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I got out of the whole book. And the last key was love.
Yeah. Well, brother, sound like you got the message out of the lesson. You know what I mean? And you know, I didn't like my spirituality. I ain't ashamed of it.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And I wanted the world to know that, you know what I mean, I'm a soldier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, for the Lord. I ain't perfect. Ain't none of it
No,
perfect.
for sure.
You know what I mean? But they don't make me not be a soldier.
Yeah.
And a lot of the prophets were straight gangsters.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But they were believers.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I didn't want to hide that. I wanted to share that part of who I am and what I've done, because, you know, I would hate for a man to not use the wisdom and so much wisdom in the Word of God. Those verses that you was quoting were some of the verses that carried me through some of the hardest parts of my journey.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? No weapon formed against me, you know, shall prosper. When all the feds, it's a hell of a thing to see your name, the United States of America versus James Prince. You know what I mean? That's a hell of a thing. That's the United States of America, right? So, you know, one won't ask me why I embrace a no weapon formed against me shall prosper, and if God be for me, who can be against me? You need that shit versus the United States of America. You know what I mean? I tapped into that power, and I told them, y'all bring that shit on. Y'all can't beat me. Next.
How you doing again? I had
Good.
the pleasure to speak and see you at the TCE pod. But I have one personal question, and not personal, really big. I would really want to know, I've been through a lot of shit just trying to get to where I'm going, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to know from you, what was your biggest personal obstacle that you had to overcome?
You know, there was a lot of them, but I'm gonna try to think of one of the biggest ones was my transition from the streets to corporate America. Was a hell of a thing for me because, you know, I ain't getting no college degree. You know what I mean? I didn't get a lot of that education, but by the same token, I didn't realize how gifted I was without it. So when I was dealing with that transition, you know what I mean, from the streets to corporate America, I wrestled with that for a long time before I really embraced it. And there's so many homies, you know, I tell everybody, I believe street dudes, we some of the most brilliant dudes in the world, but we be in bondage with different hustles until we underestimate ourselves on what we really can do. You know what I mean? All we have to really do is apply that same hustle over in some part of corporate America on whatever you want to do. And man, some of the most brilliant, unsystemized people you never imagine, you know what I mean? Because we untamed, we unsystemized. You know, I don't knock college. You know what I mean? Education, I'm for it. But a dude that hadn't been in that system, hadn't been like taught to think a certain way and this and that, then you might, they'll call you a rebellious nigga, right? You know what I mean? Because you know your tolerance may be a little higher than the average person and whatnot, and to really apply that gift, you know, get out of bondage and apply that gift, and whatever you want to do, you're gonna be cold-blooded. So that's what I wrestled with, and once I crossed over, man, I'm so glad I crossed over. You know what I mean? Because they had hell to deal with after I crossed over.
All time, every time they ask me, it's Brad Jordan, Scarface.
Yeah.
How do you feel when he's not brought up in this conversation?
Yeah. Well, you just brought him up. You know what I mean? He happened to be here, but I agree. You know what I mean? Right. Face is definitely one of the greatest. You know what I mean? I second that motion. I worked with him. I wrote with him. You know what I mean? Bled, sweat, and tears came with the homie Scarface. So I know he would appreciate, you know what I mean, you feeling that way. And I feel the same way. You know what I mean? Ain't no secret. I don't ever want nobody to think I ain't down with Scarface, because my foundation was laid with Scarface. So I'm going to love him for life. And he rap a lot for life. Yeah.
Ooh.
What's going on, man?
What's up, homie?
My name is Trey Freeman. I'm a big, advocate for the culture, and I just, first and foremost want to say I appreciate everything that you've done. All of us are, walking on the streets that you paved and everything you've done Rap Alot. So my question is twofold. I remember reading, and as well, Irv Gotti did an interview where he was talking about you and him, and I can't remember who the third person was, but I was talking about doing pretty much like, so they were talking about doing like a, I guess you'd call it a union for rappers, like pretty much. So like,
a black distribution company. Yeah.
And so pretty much so like rappers, once you're not hot anymore, you still have benefits, because rappers, once you sign, you technically still don't have benefits from the label. That's on you. So my question is, why did that not come to fruition? And then also, do you think that that's something that we can still accomplish now as a people?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Let me tell you what happened with that meeting. Myself, Irv Gotti, and Suge Knight, you know what I mean, when everybody was on top, we had a meeting, a gathering of the meetings of the mind, where we was going to create that union with a black-owned distribution company. The feds hit Murder Inc., the feds hit Suge, and the feds hit Rap Alot, damn near almost simultaneously. You know what I mean? And I don't think it was a coincidence, because when you come together, with the meeting of the mind, with a strong movement like that, then you can expect, that shit that go along with it, resistance from them. And that's what happened, and as we all know, it really hurt Irv Gotti and them Murder Inc. sunk their battleship. Suge, we know what's happening with him. You know what I mean? And I'm the last man standing. And, I most definitely think that mission can still be accomplished. You know what I mean? You just have to take like-minded individuals to want to do it.
How you doing, Mr. Prince?
How you doing, brother?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. My name is VCBEATS. I'm a rapper, producer, and videographer from Detroit. My question is, basically, I've been blessed to meet a lot of people and work with a lot of people in the music industry. I interned for 50 Cent for a lot of years. And the problem that I have been running into is my desires to release my own project and start my own label is the financing of those dreams. I don't sell drugs, I don't swipe credit cards, I work a 9 to 5, I do videography, whatever I can. I calculated it up, and it costs about $1,500 to market a record. Then that's just locally. You know, so for inspiring music entrepreneurs out there who trying to compete in this industry, who might not have the financing, what are some tips or some advice you can recommend for them to be able to make their dreams manifest?
That's a good question, bro.
And I know Rap Alot was one of the first indie labels, you know.
And the truth of the matter is, I had hit rock bottom when I walked away too. So here's the thing, and here's something everybody needs to know, because you know I done it. I was a victim of this myself, trying to break my record, you know, in a lot of places at one time versus focusing on where I was from. So the finances that you do have, and if it's $1,500 that's in your budget, if you don't come up with that $1,500, you don't want it bad enough. You know what I mean? You have to look at it just that, you know what I mean, with reality. Because if you let $1,500 stop you from accomplishing anything in life, it's only because you don't want it. But, you know, that $1,500, don't try to compete with like what the majors do. You know what I mean? The majors really don't know what they're doing a lot of times. So you have to like focus. If you're from Detroit, focus all your energy on relationships with DJs and different people that's in Detroit, and spend your money to be known, break right at home. You know what I mean? I found it to be true on my journey. If you don't get embraced at home, you damn near gonna get embraced nowhere. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times they looking what you done at home. You know what I mean? It's almost like a dude in the street come to my city. Yeah, I'm gonna think he a rat or something almost. You know what I mean? I don't hear something about the roots at home. So, you know, yeah, do that, man. You spend whatever you got, spend it wisely. You know what I mean? In an area where you don't try and disperse it in a lot of different areas where it don't mean nothing. You know, 'cause I figured out a long time ago, I can't compete with these majors. You know what I mean? They got all this shine and different things. And here's what they do. You know what I mean? They miss the mark, but they got a bunch of money to keep on going. I say, shit, I can't afford to miss the mark.
Right.
You know what I mean? I got to hit. So narrow the scope with your finances, and you know, it's important for like street homies. Let me say this, you know what I mean? It's important for street homies, and this goes for artists, for athletes, and everything in the world. It's important for us not to ignore them, you know what I mean? Because these are people that's right from our hood. You know what I mean? Some of the biggest athletes, artists, or whatnot come out of our hood, right up under our nose, and you got all these people eating, and we wonder why we ain't eating. You know what I mean? LeBron, all of them come from, you know what I mean? If we don't ignore them when they 10, 11, 12 years old, get behind them and do some of the same things some of these agents end up doing for them, but they don't love them like we love them. You know what I mean? They gonna do what they have to do and then leave them for dead. You know what I mean? So let's embrace those opportunities where opportunity presents itself with the kids. Let's support the kids. That's my answer.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Support the kids.
First and foremost, thank you for coming to Detroit, because a lot of people overlook this city, and it really is an honor for you to even come and give us some game. But I did finish the audiobook, and one of the chapters that stuck out to me was like, how did you, the one where you were talking about how do you get your break and how do you make it big. I manage artists, and to me it feels like it's a little bit harder for women in this industry. And then on top of that, I didn't come of age in Detroit. I went to school in D.C. My colleges are in D.C., so my network's in D.C., you know, so it's like coming here, it's like, who is this random person? You're not from here, you know, so it's like, what would you say to the women and people who not really immersed in the, you know, in certain crowds or not really popping per se? Like, what would you say to us? Because this, I've been back for 4 years, and it's hard.
Yeah. Well, anything worth having gonna be hard.
Right.
So accept that like in your mind out the gate. Yeah. It ain't gonna be easy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And being a woman, you really got advantage in a lot of areas too. So, you know, everything like all the handicaps and different things begin in the mind if you let it be that. You know what I mean? You got the power in your mind to say, me being a woman, that don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do what I have to do. I'm gonna become who I want to become, and I ain't gonna let nothing stop me. That's the mentality that I had to have, and I think that's the mentality that you have to win. You know what I mean? Not allowing no seed of defeat or confusion or doubt to grow and exist in your mind, because once it does, it's like cancer. You know what I mean? You're gonna hit these stumbling blocks and roadblocks, and you don't need nothing living in you to embrace that once you slip or whatnot. So understand that you can do it. It's been proven before. You ain't gonna get no all of that. It worked. You know what I mean? And I would love to share this with y'all and pass this to your kids, because I embraced it at 8, 9 years old. And it goes like this. Bow your head. Lord, be merciful to me, a sinner. I believe Christ died for me, and that his precious blood would cleanse me from all sin. By faith, I now receive the Lord Jesus Christ into my heart as my Savior. Trust in thee for the salvation of my soul. Lord, help me to do thy will each day. Amen.
Amen.
There it
That
is.
meant a lot. Seriously. Like, you know how that gave me just a relief, everything. And my name is Noel, by the way. I'm a musician, I'm a music artist, songwriter. Based out of Detroit, Michigan, man. And like I said, it's just to be here in this presence and to hear that what I came for, most definitely. Like your vision and everything I appreciate, but seeing you as a wholehearted person that way, it meant a lot, man, and I appreciate it. Seriously.
Yeah.